Now, Lumbiwe, how does this infusing this digital literacy to the teachers trickle down to the learners themselves?
Living in a world where technologies is taking over in how we access jobs, money, about ChatGPT and everywhere, even just in Zambia itself, we are in a situation or an economy where we have smart Zambia, we're having e-health and e-learning and e-finance and all of that. So I think it's really important that we start early on to equip our learners with digital skills, not only for them to be able to use a computer or to use a smartphone, because I think they can intuitively use smartphones, but to be able to take those tools and get a better job, be competing on a worldwide scale for employment, or even creating entrepreneurial skills in our learners by giving them those digital skills. It shouldn't be a barrier to someone not being able to access education, online learning, even after they finish high school, to not be able to get a degree, because most of these are available already on the internet, they're available online. But we need to equip our learners with digital skills so they can have a competitive edge as well and be able to access those things. So it's important that we start early on, as early as in primary school, to show our learners, to teach them how to access the internet, but how to be safe as well on the internet, because just because we can teach digital skills doesn't mean we can always protect our learners, that it will be all safe on the internet. So how do we teach that? We teach that to our teachers so we can show our learners also about online safety. So it's important that we start early on, by training our teachers, but also opening it up to the learners that they can also have these skills.
Lumbiwe, if you will, please compare the current crop of learners to this new breed of learners that will emerge from 5 to even 10 years from now. How would you put the two together, and what will the new breed of learners be able to do that the current learners are unable to do?
I think the new ones, even in the next few years, I have noticed in a number of schools that I've had the privilege of visiting, both government schools and where the learners are have access to kind of digital tools and are able to use this digital skills, in just how they're taking over and finding solutions for different things. I mean, we know right now, for example, someone on social media who has access to social media, and that's a way for these learners to create solutions to certain challenges, to be a voice out there for the voiceless. And so we see it as a way of kind of propelling our own economy to greater heights, but also to have a youth that is much more vocal, not just on social media, but vocal in finding solutions to different problems that we're facing, not just political problems, but also social issues, to look at ways in which they create solutions with the technology that they find themselves, and are able to use it in less privileged areas. So I'm seeing those opportunities already existing. However, it needs to marry with policies on the ground to encourage those opportunities to thrive. So yes, the ones that are there now, they do have the opportunities, but is there a space for them to go forth? And with the ones that are coming through and having access to more digital technology, I think they will push through even more, regardless of any of the barriers. But I think it's up to us now to make sure that those barriers are lessened as much as possible.
Lumbiwe, how does all this put together going to improve an economy such as Zambia's?
I think it's already happening. I am not sure how much you know about the number of tech companies in Zambia that are coming up. We have tech companies that are providing medical assistance to women in rural areas by following them up with an app that goes into the rural areas and looks at pregnant women and follows them for antenatal care. That is in Zambia. You have also other doctors. We have in the urban areas access to education for tutors. There's so much that's currently happening that could be expanded on, depending on how much of the digital skills we provide to our learners and also to our teachers, because teachers play a really, really critical role in whether the children do have access to these digital skills within the schools, especially for rural areas where you might have a computer lab that is locked by one person who might feel they don't have the skills themselves to be able to teach the students, and therefore that access is restricted. But if we train that teacher, that access is then opened up, and even more people in the community could also come through and learn. So what that does is that it's a trickle-down effect, because if you have a community that has access to as much information as I can, whether this is through internet or that is provided for by pre-downloaded material. You have learning that's happening, you have a change in behavior and attitude, you have a change in knowledge, but you have people solving their own problems. For example, learning how to farm, how to keep their crops better, but you have also young people learning how to use the technology to solve everyday problems, figuring out how do we have running water in our system. And that improves the livelihoods of the people. It increases the taxpayer base, it increases the education, and it trickles down very much into the overall economy of Zambia. I think we all know a well-populated, a well-educated economy means that we are solving our own problems. We're not just relying on aid, and we're fixing our things ourselves. And that's the beauty and power of technology and having those digital skills on a more wider scale.